What are the best non-MCU Marvel movies? That's what we're going to discuss on today's episode. Hey, it's me, AP, and welcome to the Saturday Movie Show, everyone. I hope you're all having a lovely Saturday as always. And today's show, as I said in the intro, we're going to be looking at the best non-MCU Marvel movies. What does that mean? It means the movies that are not canon at this moment in time to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we got a load of different movies out there. We got the Sony movies, the Fox movies. There's a load of movies out there that are non-MCU, and I thought it'd be a really cool discussion. I want to try and talk about things that I know add value to the videos as much as I can, and my value is in content like this, talking about movies I love. And movies I love the Marvel movies. I love Star Wars, but today it's all about Marvel and the non-MCU movies. So this has been a fun one to put together this morning, and I can't wait to deep dive into today's topic. It's going to be a fun show, ladies and gents. But before we get to the headline topic of today's show, we're going to do what we normally do on the Saturday Movie Show, do a bit of not-so-worthy blockbuster housekeeping. This is the part of the show where we basically talk about what's going on with the channel and just have a little general chit-chat. Let me just move this mic a bit closer to me, ladies and gents. The mic was a bit too far away. We're all ready now. We're all ready to go. Anyway, not-so-worthy blockbuster housekeeping for this week, ladies and gents. What are we talking about? Well, this week on the channel, we had a new video come out. We had the Sylvester Stallone, 6 fantastic Sylvester Stallone movies, and this was a fun video to make. It was a really fun one. I said it in the video, if you've not seen it already, I'm a big Stallone fan, and just going through the Stallone movies and just picking out 6. I said it to, I can't remember who I said it to in the comments, but just choosing 6 is just easy because there's so many good Stallone movies out there. And I said the same with the Arnold Schwarzenegger video. I could easily do another video of this, and I'm sure at some point along the line, I will, later down the line, I'll be doing a Sylvester Stallone more great, fantastic movies of his. His movies are great. He is a great all-rounder, and that was just a fun video to do and to look at some of the Sly movies, some of the Stallone movies in the collection here, and then picking out 6 was a really fun little challenge to do on the day. So I really enjoyed that. But that's it. If you've not checked out that video, check it out. It is the latest video that's been put up on the channel this week, the Stallone video, and I appreciate all the comments from the community and everyone letting me know the choices. I've seen Tango and Cash put in the comments a lot. A lot of people seem to like Tango and Cash, so that is I've seen Tango and Cash. I like Tango and Cash. It is a good movie. I've not watched it in a few years though. I'll have to watch that again. But that was one where it was mentioned a lot. Tango and Cash. It's a really good movie. But anyway, what else has been going on this week on the channel? I've been filming. Got back to like usual filming a bit more this week because it's been a bit cooler. Which has been good that I've been able to film a bit more content. It's been cool. So I filmed the Stallone video, and I got around to filming another video which is going to be coming out next week or the week after. And it was I'll tell you the video. I'll tell you what the topic is going to be. It's going to be basically around movie grading. So getting your movie collection graded. And I kind of thought of this topic because of the recent auction with the Mario 64 game, and I seen a video from Jeff from Films at Home about a month or so ago, and he did a really good video on this topic. Definitely check out Jeff's video. But I just decided to do a video on this topic of getting your movies, your DVDs, your Blu-rays, 4Ks or VHS, Laserdisc, getting them graded by like professional services. And it was just a fun video to just deep dive into, and that's going to be like I said, that's going to come up in the next week or two. So that's something so you know what's coming. So it's a little bit of a teaser to the channel more than normal. I thought that'd be cool just to discuss a future video coming to the channel. That was good. But anyway, what's coming up as well on the channel? We got the big free third month for as we said on this channel, every third month we do some sort of special video. So on the third month, the 6th, the 9th, and the 12th month, we do quizzes on the channel. So I think we've done the Keaton quiz, Michael Keaton. We've done the Masters of the Universe quiz so far this year. And look, September this year is flying away. It's flying. It's going super duper quick. Just like last year again. This year is just getting away from us all. September next month, and it is the 9th month. So we are gonna have to do something for the channel. Let me know what your thoughts are. What do you want to do, really? I've been and ahhing about doing a quiz. I'll be honest with you, I'm working on a little sort of like a secret video, and I've teased it over the past couple of months or so. I'm working on a little bit of secret content that I'm hoping will be ready for September. That's the plan at this moment in time. I will do a sort of video talking about that little secret project in more detail soon, or on the later Saturday movie show. We'll discuss it in some way, shape, or form. But do you want to do another quiz again? I enjoy the quizzes. If you enjoy the quizzes, maybe let me know a movie you'd like to see, maybe in discussion, or a set of movies, or an actor that you'd maybe like to see. I'm always open to ideas, or if you've got an idea for a certain special event video, I think of it the way my plan was initially when I was doing it with like a big show every 3 months is like I look at it because I'm a big wrestling fan, and I look at it as in like wrestling. We have like SummerSlam, we have WrestleMania, we have the Royal Rumble. These really big shows, and these are like the staple shows. And I'd like to eventually over time maybe build it up. We do like a quiz and then like a big mega show of something else. I don't know what it would be, but that is the plan. It's like there's like a little small seed of an idea, and it's hopefully one day to grow. It will grow big. But the quizzes are just the start of this idea. And I love doing the quizzes. But if you want to see another quiz, let me know. Let me know your thoughts on it. If you do have any suggestions as well for that. So that is the not so worthy. I've actually, other than not so worthy, blockbuster housekeeping, I've got a new mic stand today. Oh, this mic stand, a little behind the scenes action. And it's on a shoebox because my normal stand just decided to die on me right before the filming took place today. It was the screw. It was like I have this old stand that I have used for probably like 10 years now, and it's back from when I was in a band and I used to gig. I don't gig anymore. I wouldn't really say I do music anymore as such. I do occasional bits like little bits of soundtracks and stuff for fun, the odd EP, but I'm not like I don't see myself as a musician. But anyway, I had this stand for about 10 years, and I've had this mic, this SM58 mic, for just about the same amount of time, about 10 years or more, probably more years. It's probably, I think it was about 2019, not 2009 or so. I got this mic and I got the stand, but the stand, rest in peace to the stand today. It died on me. The thread on it just went, and luckily enough, I've got this little podcast mic. I had to put up a table there instead. But you know what? It's actually quite cool just having a little table. It's a bit different. I feel like I'm sort of crouching a bit. Maybe it's just getting used to it. Maybe put it like that. I won't crouch as much. But yeah, we've got the new stand. We're all good though. We're all ready to go. The postman has just put some letters through the post box as well. We're all ready to go. It's the good luck charm for the day. Good luck charm for the Saturday movie show today. But anyway, let's get past the not so worthy blockbuster housekeeping. Let's get to the headline topic of today's show: the best non-MCU Marvel movies. I wanted to do this particular topic because, as I said, I'm a big Marvel fan. We've talked about Marvel on the channel before. We talked about, I think we did a best MCU villains episode, which was really fun to do. I'm gonna have to look over that video again and see if my opinions have changed, because you always change your opinions, don't you? I do with films and with characters, and it'd be interesting if I select my top 3 villains now and I go back, would it be the same? I'm sure it would be pretty similar, or it could be slightly different. You never know. But anyway, best non-MCU films. I thought there's tons of MCU movies out there, but there's tons also of non-MCU movies. You know, we had a lot of the Sony movies, with the Fox movies, with the X-Men movies, and then the Spider-Man with Sony, and there has been other ones like Fantastic Four, Daredevil. There's been a lot. The original Hulk movies, there's been loads over the years, different movies. So I thought it'd be cool just to dive into some of my favourites today. So I'm going to pick 4 of my top picks, my best of. They're not in any particular order. These are just 4 of my favourite ones that are non-MCU. So they're not part of the MCU canon at this moment in time. We will discuss that a bit later on because some of these could change. I envisage some of these will definitely change over time anyway, especially in the not too, I think in the very short future coming up, I think we're going to see some of these changing and becoming canon. But let's dive into it. Let me stop rambling. Let's dive in to my best non-MCU Marvel movies, ladies and gents. So the first one I want to discuss is X-Men First Class, and why do I want to discuss this one first of all? I think X-Men First Class, it was the reboot of the franchise. It was the prequel to the original Fox X-Men movies. We had the trilogy of X-Men movies, which were really good. I think, sure, they dip at some points, but overall, I enjoy that trilogy of the X-Men movies. So when they announced they were going to do this reboot, this like prequel movie to see what became before the story, and like it tells the origins of the X-Men, how they got together, I was kind of interested about this, and I remember watching this at the cinema, and I definitely watched this because I watched it at the cinema, and then I ended up buying it on DVD when it came out because I really enjoyed this movie. And look, it's a fantastic movie. You got Michael Fassbender as Magneto. You got James McAvoy playing Charles Xavier, Professor X in this. We got a whole host of new cast members joining the crew. We got Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique as well. It's mad because you think like Jennifer Lawrence then she was really only still she wasn't like a well known name. I think maybe the Hunger Games were coming out alongside these movies, and she hadn't really she wasn't a household name at this point. But you see it in later movies, she becomes more pivotal to the cast, and she was pivotal in this first movie. But just to see that cast is unreal. We have Kevin Bacon as Sebastian Shaw as the villain in this movie as well. Kevin Bacon is a guy who I always see as a hero guy, as a sort of a good guy in movies. We look at him in Footloose, one of my favourite movies, Footloose. He's the good guy. I could never see Kevin Bacon as a villain, but he nails the role in this as Sebastian Shaw. I really like his villain in this. To talk about the movie though, why is it one of the best non-MCU movies for me personally? I think there's a few sort of pivotal moments, but I think the main one is to see more of Magneto, and we see a bit more of his story of him, like his younger days, and then he wants to get revenge against people, and then we see the young Charles Xavier and his relationship with Mystique. But then you see them two coming together of Magneto and Charles and their first meetings, and then initially, becoming friends and starting the X-Men together. And then you see at the end of the movie, Magneto turns to become a bad guy really in the end. And I think it's that relationship what really makes this movie. That relation, that friendship, and that break of the friendship as well. I think it was just such a great story, and I think them two had great chemistry. Fassbender and McAvoy, they played them roles really well because you had Sir Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen before them, who were both superb in those roles, and they made them roles. And you couldn't. It's hard to sometimes look past a certain actor in a role, but them two reignited the roles and they reimagined the roles and they made them roles their own. They took them characters and made them something fresh, give us a new take on them characters, and really give more of a build to the story in the later X-Men movies as well. When you're seeing this friendship build and seeing them at first that they're teaming together and they are friends and they're working together. I just thought it was an overall great movie. I thought the action pieces were great. I loved just that coming together, that rise of the X-Men, and seeing that story was such a good movie. And X-Men First Class is one of my favorite picks as a best non-Marvel MCU movie. Next on my list, I've got my list down here. I have to bring the list back up just to remember it. But Spider-Man is my second on the list. The first Spider-Man movie, 2002. This movie was released, ladies and gents, and That is a long time ago now. So we have Tobey Maguire in the Spider-Man movie, and to think this was the time. This was released by Sony. This movie. This was a time when really superhero movies, comic book movies, were not really a constant thing, like a year in year out thing where we'd have like 3 or 4 movies at a time. This was a time before the MCU. This was a time before we had like the big rise of the superhero movies. You could actually say this and the X-Men movies were very much the rise of these superhero movies, but this one in particular, I remember like the hype around this and such the buzz around this because it's Spider-Man in a movie. We're getting a live action Spider-Man movie. And my early memories of this was always, I remember there was always the talk about like the Twin Towers being in the trailer, and then obviously we had we had September the 11th, the attacks on the Twin Towers, and then they took out of the trailer. The Twin Towers didn't feature in the film in the end. Quite rightly, I think it would have been bad taste. But I remember like all like talk about that, and then I remember like little things with this movie. I remember like in the news, I think it was like Heineken, like some sort of beer. And there was like a flip in the movie where he flips over a beer van, and it's like you can see this like beer van that's significant. And I always remember that was like just something odd I remembered about the movie, like a little tidbit. But why do I like this movie? I think it's a superb origin story. I think it's a really good origin story of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man. I love, in the later movies like Spider-Man, in like Amazing Spider-Man, the new ones, I like some of them. But when he has these like gadgets and stuff like that as the web slingers, I actually like it when he's just like it's just coming out of him. The web shooters, just like stuff like that, and the cheesiness of it. When he's first doing his first swing and stuff like that. It gets me every time. I love the suit. The look of the suit is great. I think you've got some really good cast additions in that as well. You've got William Dafoe as the Green Goblin. He was a great villain in that. I look at William Dafoe and he's very much like a Joker-esque Jack Nicholson. He's very Jack Nicholson-like, isn't he, William Dafoe? And he reminds me a lot of Nicholson in the Batman role in this movie. He's just he just looks bad. He looks, and he's just the way he reacts and the way he talks. He's got villain written all over him. And his villainous performance opposite a really heroic, brave Spider-Man, a guy who always wants to do good, it's just a great combination for a really cool movie. So I really like that. And it's funny looking back as well. When we look at it back at this movie and you look at Tom Holland's Spider-Man at that age, or perceived to be like a 15, 14-year-old, and then you see Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, who's perceived to be like around the same age as what Tom Holland is in his movies. And Tobey Maguire looks like a 30, 40-year-old bloke, where Tom Holland actually looks around the right age. And you look at it back, and I think his performance as Spider-Man was good, and especially in the first movie anyway. I really enjoyed his performance, but he really does not look the age of what Spider-Man should be. He looks like a 30-year-old bloke in glasses, in a school outfit. He just doesn't look the part. But all of them are like that. Kirsten Dunst, she's the same. They must have been in the first... they probably were in like late 20s or mid-20s filming this, but they all look super old. James Franco, another great cast member, Kirsten Dunst and James Franco as Mary Jane, and as Harry Osborn. Because it was Norman Osborn who William Dafoe played, and it was Harry Osborn who James Franco played. I think I might have said Harry Osborn for William Dafoe, but it was a great ensemble cast. And seeing the origin of seeing Uncle Ben getting killed, and doing the wrestling, you have Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah, the Macho Man is in the wrestling ring, and he's taking on Spider-Man. It's just a really fun movie, and I think that's what I like about the first one. It's fun, but it's got a good feud between the good guy and the bad guy, and it's got a good conclusion, a good battle. Seeing the Green Goblin die in the end, I really love this movie, and it's one of my favorite non-MCU movies. It is really a really great movie. the first Spider-Man. So my third choice for best non-MCU Marvel movie has got to go to Deadpool. And look, this is a movie that I when I heard of it, I didn't know much about the character. Ryan Reynolds in this role as Deadpool, and I see the trailers, and the trailers look awesome though. The trailers straight away, and like I said, I didn't know much about the character, but the trailers, they hooked me in, and I remember, I might have done a video on this, but I remember going to the cinema to watch Deadpool, and I went into the cinema, and they started playing the movie, but they played the movie too early. They skipped all the adverts, and there was only a few people in there. It was like a midday, a sort of day where no one was going in anyway. But they played the movie too early, and it played straight into that intro song. Was it Angel of the Morning? Is it? Also, I think it's something like that by Juice Newton. Juice Newton, is it? Something like that. And that intro was just hilarious. I loved the intro with the song and like the credits of the cast members, and it was just you know the intro. It's just super silly, but it's really cool. It's a really cool intro. But I remember after that, then about 5-10 minutes in, they stopped it. Screen went blank, and someone come into the cinema, one of the staff members, and said, "Oh, we've played the movie too early. We're gonna have to restart it." So I had to just wait there. I was waiting there, there's a few people in the cinema, and it was just super quiet. And then the cinema just went blank. And about 10-15 minutes later, then they restarted it again from the very start of the movie. So thankfully, it worked out well in a way, because I got to watch that intro all over again. And it just made me love that intro. I love that intro. First of all, it just kicked in straight away. I thought the intro was great. But the movie overall, I think it's a really good film. It's because it mixes comedy. This is a comedy movie. It's definitely a comedy movie mixed in with superhero action as well. But you think about it as well, this movie was made on a really low budget in comparison to a lot of other superhero movies. And they nailed a good movie, in my opinion. I feel like this is it's a Fox movie. This is a movie that I feel like they maybe didn't have much hope in. I think it was just like a bit of a, let's give this for the fans maybe. Maybe it'll work out, and it just made a ton of money, and people loved it, and a lot of people really enjoyed it. I think it definitely took a lot of inspiration from what like Guardians of the Galaxy was doing with the humor in the Marvel movies, and I think with Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool, and I think it was Tim Miller who's the director on this, they took it to a new level. They give us an R-rated MCU movie, which really worked out well, and I think there's definitely jokes in this where you couldn't show it to younger viewers, and I think they might have actually done a cut. I think they done it on the second one where they did like a family cut where they could show kids where it's not R-rated. I think that's a good idea, because I think there is something of a family, well, not a family movie, but like a kid more family friendly cut in there as well. But yeah, it's a great film. I think the villains are good in this. It just all gels well. But I feel like just the story and I think it's the character work in this one more so than the story. The character work of Ryan Reynolds, and I think I'd actually love to see a TV series of Deadpool. I think it would work really well, because you don't necessarily need like this big epic story with Deadpool. I think we've all got that now. It can be just because he's deadpan, he's talking to the camera, breaking the third wall. We don't need this epic story. All we need is some good funny moments and some entertaining moments, and he can deliver. Ryan Reynolds, he's got really good comedy chops, he's got a lot of charisma, and he brings it all in with Deadpool. And I really enjoy this movie. I think my favorite scene is when he's getting made into Deadpool and he's doing all the jokes about his name to the guy, and that just cracks me up. It really, I think this actually as well, if I remember rightly, I'm sure I've seen two slightly different versions of this. I think I've seen one where he mentions, is your name Basil Fawlty from Fawlty Towers in the UK? But I'm sure there's another cut where he says like an American sitcom name, like Al Bundy or something like that. Maybe let's fact check that. If someone knows the true answer to that, does he say Basil Fawlty in an American cut, or is it just in a UK cut, or is it in both cuts worldwide? If you are in the States or Canada, let me know that. Does he say Basil Fawlty in that movie? In the scenes where he's getting made into Deadpool, when he's in like all strapped in on that bed and stuff. But yeah, great movie, Deadpool. For me, one of the best. One of the best. That's why it's in my top 4 picks of best non-MCU Marvel movies. But let's move on to the 4th choice, the 4th and final choice today, ladies and gents. This was an easy choice. This was a completely easy choice because I've talked about this movie on the channel a lot of times. I really like this movie. And this movie I'm going to discuss is Logan. The last Hugh Jackman movie, or the last, at this moment in time of filming this video, the last standalone Wolverine movie. And it is, I've got it here. Where are we? I probably should have, prepared these earlier. But anyway, Logan. I should have got all the movies. I've got a few of them. I don't think I have Deadpool on DVD. But I love it. I love Logan. And I've talked about it on the channel before where I initially watched this movie and I wasn't a massive fan. First time watching it, I was like, it was okay. And I've watched it a good few times since. And this is, telling the end of the story. He does have an end chapter in this movie. It's the end of the game for Wolverine. And if you watch this movie, you'll know why. But it's just a really good story to see this different version of Wolverine, to see this different version of Logan, and to see a different part of the X-Men universe and a different story, because it feels like a different world. It feels so far away from what them original X-Men movies were and the character he was in them X-Men movies. It feels like it's like set like 20, 30 years after them. And it really just, it feels like a realistic take. It feels to me what the Dark Knight and the Batman, the Christopher Nolan movies does for Batman as a character. This movie does that for the character of Logan. It brings realism even with mutants in the world. It's got that realistic factor and it works well. It serves it well, because I think sometimes you get movies that try and make things too gritty, too dark, too realistic, and it just doesn't work out well. And the movies suffer from it, and they probably could have had a little bit of fun injected into them and it would have made more sense and it would have made a better movie. But with this, I feel like it has that grittiness, it has that realism to it, even though you've got you've got a world of mutants in here. Obviously it's not a real world per se, but I think it benefits the movie and it benefits the character. And I just think overall, the character work of Hugh Jackman, I think the young girl, X-23, is great as well. You're seeing Sir Patrick Stewart in this as a guy who has got like a super version of dementia because he's a mutant, he's super powered. And you see his character, his final character arc in this as well. It's an emotional movie. You get really attached to them characters because we're already attached to them. But to see the end of these characters and see it in such a well-written and a well-filmed way it's breathtaking. I now, from first watching it, it's just a complete 180. I love this movie now. I've watched it countless times now ever since Logan. And I think for me, if I was going to at some point do a list of top 10 movies of all time, I would say it's probably in my top 5. It's definitely in my top 10. Logan, it's definitely in there. And it's just a superb film. And I really, really enjoy it. Really, really enjoy that movie. But anyway, they are my top 4 choices. But I just want to sort of like talk about, because we're talking about best non-MCU movies, I want to just sort of like do a bit of a discussion about this, but as well, what would I like to see any of these come to the MCU, and what is the likelihood of these coming to the MCU? And we're talking about the movies, the characters, and I think realistically now, when we're getting movies when it's discussing the multiverse and different characters coming over. We've already seen J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson return in Spider-Man, the second Spider-Man movie of the new reboot ones with Tom Holland. He is now in that. He's in that end movie. I think it's a post-credit scene. So we see already characters are coming over from their movies. It's heavily rumored for the new Spider-Man movie, the third Spider-Man movie, Tom Holland movie, that we're going to see Andrew Garfield, we're going to see Tobey Maguire, we're going to see Doc Ock, we're going to see Norman Osborn, we're going to see a load of these characters from the two previous Spider-Man franchises. It's not been confirmed officially, but it's heavily rumored. So does that make these ones become canon? We don't know. We don't know whether it's an alternate version, an alternative version of these characters, but they're just played by the same actors. We don't know yet. But it's all signs point to that some of the non-canon stuff is going to come over to Disney now. They own Fox. Spider-Man, they've obviously got a deal with Sony now to feature the Spider-Man characters in the MCU as well. So it's good, it's promising, and I would definitely like to see. I'm really pumped to seeing the third Spider-Man movie. I like all the hype around this. I mean, the standout ones for me would be Norman Osborn. I think he's just a standout villain. I still think William Dafoe as an actor is fantastic, and I'd love him to have another second shot at playing the Green Goblin. I think it would be great to see. I'd love to see it, and it just excites me as a movie fan. It really excites me. Let's talk about though some of the ones that didn't make the list, and I suppose these are ones non-MCU Marvel movies that I didn't want to put on this list because I feel like they are just so far down the pecking order. And there's two really that I want to discuss, and I'm not like saying they're the worst movies ever. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't watch them again. And I'm not saying that they're as bad as Iron Man 3, because Iron Man 3 is absolute trash. But what I will say is they were not on my top list for a reason. And the first one is Daredevil. The Daredevil movie was just so underwhelming. I felt like it was just... I think initially when I watched it as a kid, I thought it was a decent movie. Watching it as an adult, I just thought it was absolute nowhere near the, when you look at, I know comparison's never good, but if you look at the way they've done Marvel, the way Netflix did the character of Daredevil on the Netflix show, they really got that character really like right. How can I describe this? They just got the perfect ingredients and they got the perfect overall chemistry for the character. And I don't think it was the actor. I thought Ben Affleck is a great actor, but the whole story and his performance as Daredevil just didn't gel for me. It didn't gel, and I just didn't enjoy the Daredevil movie. Another one I didn't really enjoy is Spider-Man 3. Big reason for Spider-Man 3 is the cheesy moments when he's got like dark hair and he's like doing emo dancing and he's like, it really turned me off that movie. I remember watching that in cinemas and thinking, oh, this is absolutely cheesy. It's just so cringeworthy. It's horrible. And even if I've watched that since, I think the same. It was just something I just didn't click with that movie. But there was too many... It felt like there was too many villains in that one as well. There was like the Sandman. Who else? You had Harry Osborn as his like Green Goblin. And who else was in that? It was Venom as well, wasn't it? Venom was in that movie as well. There was just too many villains in that. It was too mixed. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy that movie. And they are definitely two. There's more I could say. Definitely more out there that I haven't featured on my list today. But them two there, I mean, they just don't... For me, they could have been so much better, both of them movies. And sure, there's some good moments, I'm sure, in both of them movies, but I feel like they could have been 10 times better. Imagine if we had it nowadays. Spider-Man 3 now, I think it would be so much better because they understand how to tell comic book stories and how to really do a good story, a finishing story for characters now. I think back then, they were just like throwing stuff against the wall. And I think with Daredevil, I think it was just a case of let's see what we can do. And I don't think they really got the gist of what the character was all about with that movie. So they are two movies that I don't dislike to the point where I think I'm going to throw them in a garbage bin. But I feel like they could be improved a lot, them movies. For me personally, anyway. But anyway, that is the headline topic over and done with for today's show, ladies and gents. Let's move on with the rest of the show. So this week for movies for the weekend, I've got a fantastic choice for you all, ladies and gents. And this is a bit of a different choice than normally, because I'm normally picking out a movie or two out of the collection behind me. But I decided this week, because today, I'm filming this on the Friday, as always, I do it like a day before. Today, a guy who I have followed on YouTube for a couple of years now released a short film, and it's a Star Wars fan film. And let me just tell you, the Star Wars fan film is called Forsaken Mandalorian and the Drunken Jedi Master. That's a cool title. I like that title first of all, but basically, this is by a guy called by a film director or creator, YouTube creator as well, filmmaker, called a guy called Anthony Ferraro, and he runs a YouTube channel called Create Sci-Fi. And basically, if you don't know what with this channel, before I sort of like really got deep into making movies and talking about movies and talk about physical media, for a good year or two, I was doing like web series and short films, and they're still on the YouTube channel. You can definitely check them out. But I was doing like a sci-fi show at the time, a web series called Masters and Realms, and when I was looking on the internet, I was looking for ways to do DIY sci-fi filmmaking, and I found this channel called Create Sci-Fi, and the host Anthony Ferraro, he was putting out these fantastic videos on how to, do it yourself, create like sci-fi models for spaceships or weapons or armor for sci-fi characters, and there's just tons and tons of different stuff. And I will link in the channel below and the short film. But he's done loads of short films himself, and he's really successful, and he's a really good filmmaker. And he released this short film today, this Star Wars fan film, and I watched it this morning, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was I think it's like 8 or 9 minutes long, but it's obviously looking at like we've got the big rise of the Mandalorian at this moment, so he's decided to give us a story of his Mandalorian character and this drunken Jedi Master, and it's a unique story. I feel like there's definitely a sequel to be told in this story. I said this in the comments. I hope he does a sequel to this story, because there's definitely room for something else to be told in this story. But I really enjoyed it. It was to think this guy filmed this short film during COVID, and definitely check it out and let me know your views on it. But he filmed it during COVID, and he did it with a really small crew, and Anthony plays the drunken Jedi Master in this as well. There's a few great scenes for me with the Jedi Master. He's getting this like bottle of blue liquid, and he's using the Force to get this bottle, and then he gets his lightsaber, and he's taking out these bottles that he is playing homage to the scene in A New Hope when Luke's got the helmet on. He's doing the practice, the training, but he does it with bottles of booze. I think I thought it was really funny, but I feel like, it's a really well-made sci-fi movie, and to think, I get really inspired by people like this, and at some point I will get around to do more short films myself and web series. I'm determined to do it at some point. But people like Anthony Ferraro really inspire me, because to put something like that together, I can understand with doing little bits myself, not to that degree and to that level, because his level of filmmaking is superb. But I can understand how much hard work goes into that, and he has created something really special. If you're a Star Wars fan, definitely check out the short film. I'll link it in below. It's well worth checking out. Let him know that you came over from this channel, and give him a shout out, and give him some comments, and give him some likes, because he deserves it, Anthony. He's a great creator, and check out his channel, Create Sci-Fi, as well. If you've not already, and maybe some of you in the community have probably already heard of his channel, but if you haven't, check it out. He's a great creator, and it's a great short film, and that's my movies for the weekend recommendation for this weekend. And let me get that title right, because it's such a long title, because I keep on forgetting I've got like a really forgetful memory, but it is Forsaken Mandalorian and the Drunken Jedi Master. What a title of a movie. What a title. So let's move the show on and talk about what have I been watching this week. I've watched, first of all, this morning, I've watched the new Fast and Furious movie, finally. I know it came out a few months back now. I didn't get around to watching it. I didn't watch it at the cinemas. It came out this week, available to watch at home. So I watched that movie. I really enjoyed it. I'm a fan of all the movies. I know some people don't like them. I think the Fast and Furious, I think for me, they're just all out action and fun. And coming from a guy who really likes stuff like Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, action movies like Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, this is the great combination of all that for me. And especially since like Fast 5 onwards, they've really went all action, and this was just all action fun. I loved it. I really enjoyed this movie. I felt like there was a lot of really standout great moments. For me, the moment for me, there was a certain one with the mines at the start of the film, and when they're doing like Dominic Toretto, the bridge has been, there's this like wooden bridge, it's been blown up, and he's needing to get over this big cliff, and he basically gets the rope he drives his car dead fast, and Letty, his partner Letty, she's like, no, don't do it, Dom, don't do it, and he's like, puts on a nos, he's driving really fast, and he drives into the rope of this bridge, and then swings his car over this big like lake or whatever it is, and it's just so unrealistic, but it's just so silly and fun. I love it. And then I think she makes a comment at the end where she says, "Oh, we're not seen that one before." And it's like, yeah, we haven't seen that one before. Let's think of something more outrageous this time. But they do it every time. Think of something more outrageous, but it's dead fun. I love these movies. I think you just got to take them for what they are, the Fast and Furious, and I think the fun action movies. I think there was another as well with the villains in this. There was this villain, I can't remember his name. It's like Otto, that's his name. Otto, and the villain played by Charlie, what's her name from Mad Max Fury Road? She plays Cypher in this, but she's talking about this Otto guy who's like the villain, and she's like a villain as well. And they're talking, he's like saying, I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm Luke Skywalker. And she says something like, if this was a movie, you'd be Yoda. And she says, you'd be Yoda because he's a puppet. and she says another line as well, and because I've got my I can't even say it because it's making me laugh, because the puppet master has got the hand up your backside basically, and the line was just I butchered the line then, and that wasn't the exact line, but it just cracked me up when I heard that line, and it was just so cheesy in the way they were saying, if this was a film. It's like, yeah, it is a film, but it was just so funny. And again, I can see the filmmakers don't take this too seriously. Maybe Vin Diesel's like, this is a serious movie, but I think I really enjoyed the Fast and Furious movies. I thought John Cena was a really good cast addition as well. I think because the loss of Paul Walker a few years ago kind of left that little bit of a gap, and you don't have The Rock in this one as well. So there was that gap of that guy who's like his partner in crime of doing all the stunts and the story. And I feel like John Cena is for sure going to be in the next one, and I think he's going to be part of the good guys. Shock horror, the villain turns good in the end, like Jason Statham's character, like The Rock's character in the end. He turns to becoming one of Vin Diesel, one of Dominic Toretto's guys, and he's the story of the brothers. I think it was really good. I think it was interesting the fact that they never mentioned he had a brother until the 9th movie. But look, you got to take it for what it is, enjoy it for what it is. I really enjoyed the story. I can't wait for Fast and Furious 10 whenever that comes out. This one they took. There was another moment as well. They went into space with a car with a rocket on top of it. It was just outrageous, but it's I just think they're really funny. I think they made me chuckle, these movies, and that's the joy of cinema, isn't it? The joy of cinema is if you can watch something, not take it too serious, and just have a lot of fun watching it. That's a joy. Another thing I watched this week, and it is 2 films, but I'll only glimpse over them, but I watched for the first time The Thing from Another World, the original like black and white movie, and the 1980s Thing movie. I'd never seen either of those movies with Kurt Russell, the 1980s one. Gotta say, I really enjoyed both. I'm not a big fan of black and white movies in general. For me, I can't get in. I can't really connect with some of them. But this one, I really enjoyed it. It was a really old movie, but The Thing from Another World, basically, it's like this alien arrives in the Antarctica, and then the alien, it's like a Frankenstein's monster, basically, starts attacking all these people. And similar story in the 80s one, really. But I liked the fact that there was a lot of nods to The Thing from Another World, and I watched The Thing from Another World first, and then you watch the 80s movie, and there's a lot of nods to that first movie. Even though it's kind of like not a direct sequel, it's kind of like a spiritual successor in a way, the John Carpenter movie. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good Kurt Russell movie. I'm a big Kurt Russell fan, and I'm glad I got around to watching it. I think one of the things that put me off with The Thing is I'd seen stuff online about it being a bit of like a horror, a bit scary, and I'm quite happily, I'll admit, I'm a scaredy cat. I get scared easily with movies, and if I see blood on screen, it can make me like churn a bit my stomach, and it was certain movies I can't watch for that reason. I like the Saw movies and like them Hostel movies and anything like that. I can't really. I can't enjoy it because I get really. I don't feel good watching it. But I seen stuff online. It put me off a few years ago and never got around to watching. But I had it on my list because so many people say The Thing is a great movie, and I watched it and it wasn't as bad as I thought. But the creature effects in the 1980s one, I think it's Tom Savini, the special effects guy, does all these special effects for this. To see a movie in the 80s, the effects on this was one of the best movies I've ever watched. From watching Star Wars to watching Alien, one of the best sci-fi special effects, practical effects. The monster, the Thing, it's superb. But a really good movie. I like the soundtrack. I didn't realise it was Ennio Morricone did the soundtrack, but I think John Carpenter does like the main theme, like the synthesizer bass. But it was a really cool movie, and the original was good as well. Both really fun movies to watch, and I got through it, and my stomach was fine. I got through it without closing my eyes. All thumbs up, all good. But yeah, it's been a good week for watching movies. I really enjoyed it. So let me know what you've been watching this week, ladies and gents. But anyway, that is the show for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the show today, please do give it a like, a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel as well, please do subscribe to the channel and let me know your thoughts on today's headline topic. Best non-MCU movies. What did you think of my choices? Were these in your top 4 choices? What are your top 4 non-MCU movies? And which movies or which characters from the non-MCU movies would you like to see made canon in the future? Let me know all your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching this show today. And as always, I will see you next time.